Hello and welcome to the vlog. A couple of weeks ago I did a virtual tour of a narrowboat. This was part of my lockdown series of videos where I couldn't go and see the boat, but the owners sent me a load of photographs and we did a Skype interview and put it all together, and I think it came out quite well if I say so myself. So today I'm doing another one, but it's not a narrowboat, and what's more, it's not even in the UK. Now, I know there will be some people who throw up their hands in horror and say, what is going on? And if you are one of those people, then, well, frankly, this video is probably not for you. But if you have a general interest in boats, as I do, then I think it will be interesting. The owners of said boat are Kay Davis and Jeff Hoesel, and they are on the line now. Hello! Now, you are in, if I'm not much mistaken, Missouri, and have your boat on the mighty Mississippi, about which I know very little and can only just spell it. Describe what it is like. Is it deep? Is it wide? Is it fast-flowing? What's it like?
It's all of those things.
It's everything that you said and more. It's always changing. It is part of the Intercoastal Waterway, and there are barges that come upriver and downriver for commerce, and they have coal or fertilizer. And as long as you're within those navigable channels, the marked channels, you're guaranteed at least 6 or 9 feet of water, depending on what it is. There's always a current. The current can be 3 knots. It could be 10 knots. So if you have a boat that goes 7...
You're going backwards.
Exactly. The river has a lot of what they call control dikes to funnel the water so it runs swiftly to keep the silt from settling, to keep the channels open, which is 2 things. It makes them very nice places to boat with sandbars and tranquil areas because the currents actually slow down at these places. But when I say these underground dikes, they're made out of rock, boulders, and they're sharp. And if you don't know where they are, they can be quite hazardous. And if you have a problem where if you're upstream of one and you have a mechanical failure or whatever, where you can float down on top of it, it can ruin your entire weekend.
I would say so, yeah. So what, anchors ready to deploy and all that kind of thing?
Yes. There's a very large anchor on the boat, and there's another auxiliary one that you just throw in if things are really bad.
How long is your boat?
It's 50 feet, 50. It's a 1993 Gibson Houseboat, and the model is a cabin yacht. So it's very old, but it's in very good shape. It's 14 feet wide, I think. Mm-hmm. And it's 2,200 pounds, 22,000 pounds.
22,000 pounds.
So there's a lot of mass and inertia to move around.
Now, when you say houseboat, to me, a houseboat can often be a static floating home, but yours is actually what I would call a proper boat. It's got engines, it can move, isn't it?
Yes. A lot of people here, especially on the coast, have the floating home type of boats, and they call them houseboats, but our boat is docked at the marina, and it's a lot of fun to go out on the boat, but a lot of times when the river's up, like it was last year, we just stay at the boat in the evenings and at night on the dock, and just live out of it that way.
The houseboats are good for what we need them for. They're not a good rough water boat. They do fine in 1-foot seas, but anything more than that, the water come over the bow. I mean, it won't sink or anything, but it's just not. It's not an ocean-going vessel. So if you were going to go someplace in that boat, you could take it down as far as New Orleans or Mobile, Alabama, where you want to go, but you probably shouldn't be taken out in the Gulf, or you probably shouldn't be taken out in the Great Lakes, because that's something else you can do from the Mississippi River. We just live a little bit upstream from the confluence of the Illinois River and the Mississippi River, and you can go up the Illinois River through Chicago to the Great Lakes, and then any place you want to go up there.
Let's go on board, virtually, as it were. When you step aboard, let's start with the saloon. It looks so, well, I would say homely. I think the word in America is homey, isn't it? We have a slight vocabulary difference here. But it does look very homey, very warm and cosy. Is that fair to say, do you think?
We usually just call it the living room, I guess, because it is such a home for us. We have a 4-seat dinette, but it's not like yours because it won't make into a bed or anything neat like that. And also, it's like when people come in for the mosquito hour, there's enough room for several people to come in, and we can either eat dinner inside or just sit and talk. And it's a good place to share stories.
It's a big old kitchen you've got in there, isn't it? It's not some tiny little boat galley. This is a proper kind of thing.
It does have the 3-burner induction cooktop, and it has a convection microwave. I like to take the crock pot, the slow cooker, and make a chili or enchilada filling, and that works really well. But then, of course, we grill on the backside quite a bit too.
You mentioned it's electric grill. You're talking about an induction hob now. Now those kind of things draw a fair bit of power. Let's briefly get technical again. What kind of battery bank? Have you got any solar or generator? Or how's that all sorted?
It's all 1994 technology. And it was state-of-the-art in 1994. And just as one example, he has these excellent cell phone signal boosters for analog cell phones.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So this is some of the stuff that we're up against. The boat, it has a generator. And the generator is 10 kW, which is quite a bit. The boat itself, from the shore power, has two 110 AC lines coming into it. And then they go through two separate systems in the boat, a left side and a right side. The generator can be tied to the left side and the right side together or separately. There's also a 4,000 watt inverter. There are a lot of batteries. There's a battery for each engine and a battery for the generator. The inverters have their own batteries. They're very large and they're very heavy, and their objective in life is just to power that inverter. And the inverter will turn on anytime there's a disruption in the AC power. Yep. So if we want to turn all the dock power off and go out, turn it off, the inverter will kick on and it will power all the AC systems in the boat. Now, we have two engines. So very seldom do we have engine failures. If you'd have one problem, it'd be catastrophic. You'd probably lose both of the engines at once by hitting something. But normally, with the two engines, it makes it much more maneuverable. It's like when I watch you try to navigate your 90-degree turns and stuff with your long, skinny boat with a tiller and a single prop. I don't have any of those issues because I can put one in forward and one in reverse, and it will pretty much turn just like a trolley at the grocery store. You can just turn it pretty much on a dime.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine that's quite fun as well, actually.
Yeah. It doesn't have bow thrusters or anything like that. It doesn't need them to maneuver. It's got enough power to fight the currents and stuff.
What are those engines? Big beasts of some kind?
Yes, they're very big beasts. They're 7.4 liter, 454 cubic inches. Now, they're old technologies. They're 1993 engines, and they have these things called carburetors. You remember what carburetors were? Am I dating myself? But there are these giant carburetors on them that uses a lot of fuel, and it doesn't go very fast. But they're not as expensive as diesels. The people up here also who go distances, because on the Mississippi, you can go to Minnesota, or you can go to the Gulf of Mexico and go wherever you want. You can go up and down the Ohio River and catch different tributaries and rivers and go into Nashville, Tennessee. You can go all over the place. And those guys aren't running gassers. They're running diesels because the petrol is just not as efficient, of course, as the diesel is.
People are always asking me, and I've never measured it, what my fuel consumption is. But with those big engines running petrol, do you know what your consumption is like?
For planning purposes, I use about 1 mile per gallon.
Ooh, ouch.
So
Yeah.
You see, now right now it's okay because our fuel is relatively inexpensive over here. But back when it was $4 and $5 a gallon, it was a little bit different. 7 knots, 10 miles an hour, I hardly ever go that fast. It just uses too much fuel.
Yeah. I think you'd be right at home on a narrowboat.
We would.
We think about that.
That's why we like to watch your show.
What's mooring like? Can you just stop anywhere on the bank? Do you have to stop at marinas? What if you just want to pull up for lunch somewhere? What do you do?
You throw your anchor out wherever you want, except if you're in the channel where the towboats are, where the barges are. You can't anchor in the channel because that's navigable waters. But you can go any place you want.
Sometimes we go to a place that we like called the Snake Chute, and the water's really calm, and we throw out the anchor and have dinner and play in the water and then go back to the marina.
Speaking of socializing, you have the most amazing back deck for socializing. It was designed like that, was it? For people to get together?
Yes. It has 3 levels actually, where there's a flying bridge, there's a helm up high, and then there's a deck on that, and then there's a middle deck.
We have our electric grill on the back on it, and we grill there and have dinner there. And when the boat's in motion, usually everybody's up on the flying bridge with Jeff, and we're chatting or just watching the scenery go by. And then when the boat's docked at the marina, we sit down on the lower deck and eat peanuts and have a beverage and watch the people come in and out of the marina and watch the pretty sunsets. And the dogs like to come and lay on the deck, and when they're elevated up on the higher decks, they have more to bark at.
Have they ever fallen overboard?
2 of the 3 have fallen overboard at the marina.
Yeah, not underway, thank God.
Yeah, underway we keep them inside, or they have to be in someone's lap so that there's no chance of that happening.
Yeah. Because of the current, if they go in, they're gone. They go, and trying to find them, even with their life jackets on, with their international orange life jackets, but they're still hard to find. So you have to be quite, cognizant of what they're doing.
Oh, just going to talk about things you can see while you're doing your boating, because again, a couple of lovely photos. You've got some splendid trees in, I presume, autumn, well, the fall. Lovely greens and browns and things. But also, I noticed you have a bit partial to a heron, as regular viewers will know. You
Yes.
have a local heron on your mooring. And also, did I see pelicans?
Yes. They migrate.
I guess they do. There's every now and then you see them.
And there are lots. They're all together, and they stay for a few days, and then they go on down south. And we see geese. There are a lot of bald eagles here. We've seen them in their nest, and we've seen them on sandbar getting a drink of water.
We have no swans.
You have turtles.
Yes, we were out over the weekend, and there were masses of turtles. I think a group of turtles is called a bale of turtles sunning on a fallen log. And we see those all summer long, but I don't think I've ever seen that many in one place at one time.
No, they're pushing each other off for real estate.
Just before we go, away from your boat but still on the boating theme, you have the most remarkable collection of outboard motors. Tell me about that.
I grew up with boats, and my father had outboard motors, and I just tinkered with them as a kid, and I always did that. And unbeknownst to me, that there's an entire international group of these men who are obsessed with these antique outboard motors, and they buy them and they restore them, and some of them are complete wackos. The stuff that they do, parts aren't available. They cast their own parts and they machine them. It's just nuts what they do. They have a website called AOMCI.org, Antique Outboard Motor Club Incorporated.org. It's a national club, and they've actually got some chapters over in Europe. I don't know if they have any in the UK. They probably do. We get a quarterly magazine, and it's just a bunch of old gearheads that enjoy tinkering. That's all. It's amazing the friends that I had made through that club here, and because I'm not from St. Louis, I just moved here because of my job, and I didn't know any of these things existed. I thought the Mississippi River was full of dead bodies and coffins and upside down cars and stuff. I had no idea that there were beautiful sandbars and flora and fauna, and not so much now, but years ago there was quite a bit of recreation on the Mississippi River. Now not so much, just because of the flooding and the economies and stuff. But it might come back now with all this, where we can't go hang out in bars and stuff anymore like we used to. There seems to be more people enjoying their recreational clothes. But we also have 2 hours away, we have Lake of the Ozarks, which is whole another subject, which is a beautiful place to boat.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for showing us around your lovely boat. Cheerio!
Cheerio!
Bye-bye.
We love to talk toilets. Are yours, is there a holding tank? Can you pump straight out into the Mississippi? How does it work?
There's a holding tank. Pump out. There is a facility, a way to just let her go overboard, so to speak. That is illegal. It's called the valves are in the position where it only will go into the holding tank. And it's depending what state you're in or whatever, they'll even put a wire on them to the position where it goes inside. So if the Coast Guard would come on and inspect your boat, they would say, "Oh, let me look at your Y valves," and it would be locked to the holding tank position. Most of the places that have the pump out service, that the marina, it's free.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know if it's free if you don't buy fuel. No one that I know has a cassette that you refer to. It's just usually toilets like that with pump out.